He is LIV Golf's most commercially valuable player, 2 major championships, 5 individual LIV titles, more than 2.6 million YouTube subscribers. By every visible measure, Bryson DeChambeau is exactly where he wanted to be when he called leaving the PGA Tour a business decision in 2022. But his contract expires at the end of this season, and in April 2026, while competing at the Masters, he was reportedly meeting with organizations to discuss his options if he chose to leave. So here is the question. Is Bryson DeChambeau about to walk away from the league he helped build? To understand what is happening now, you have to go back to June 2022. DeChambeau was 28 years old and had earned roughly $33 million in PGA Tour prize money and bonuses to that point. Then LIV Golf made the call. He described what followed as a business decision. Multiple reports at the time placed his guaranteed signing fee at over $100 million. DeChambeau himself, speaking on the Country Club Adjacent podcast in July 2022, confirmed the deal ran for 4.5 years and acknowledged the reported figure was somewhat close, while suggesting it was a little low. His current contract expires at the conclusion of the 2026 season. Since signing, he has built a case that the move worked, on and off the course. He won the 2024 US Open. He has 5 individual LIV titles, second only to Joaquin Niemann in career LIV victories per Sportico. He leads a franchise, Crushers GC, that he reportedly received a 25% equity stake in. He has more than 10 million combined social followers. Reebok returned to the performance golf category specifically to partner with him and his team. That is what LIV gave him. The question now is whether LIV can give him what comes next. The specific moment that changed the shape of this story happened in mid-April 2026. While DeChambeau was competing at Augusta National, he missed the cut. The Financial Times reported that Saudi Arabia's public investment fund was weighing the prospect of no longer financing LIV Golf after the 2026 season. The New York Times, The Athletic, and the Wall Street Journal all reported along similar lines. Golf Digest noted that without immediate and significant backing beyond this season, LIV's current model would face severe strain. The PIF had unveiled a new 5-year domestic investment strategy. LIV Golf, a league that has generated cumulative international losses exceeding $1.1 billion according to UK Companies House filings, as confirmed by Front Office Sports, was not featured in that strategy. No formal withdrawal of funding has been confirmed, but for the first time, credible reporting from multiple outlets has raised serious questions about whether LIV's financial model can continue beyond 2026. LIV CEO Scott O'Neill sent an internal letter to staff insisting the season would continue at full throttle. He subsequently confirmed in a televised interview that the league was funded through the season, and when asked about beyond that, replied that he would have to work like crazy to keep it going. Reports suggested a version of that interview was later removed from social media and re-uploaded. He also told industry contacts at Augusta that LIV was funded into the 2030s, per Golf Monthly, a statement that sits in direct tension with the work like crazy language that preceded it. At the same time, The Athletic reported that DeChambeau and his team had reportedly spent part of Masters Week meeting with organizations to discuss possible options if he chose to leave LIV. Those organizations, as Golf Magic confirmed citing the same reporting, included the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour. The floor had moved, and DeChambeau was already looking for where to stand. Here is the structural reality. There are 3 separate timelines driving this situation simultaneously, and they do not align. The contract clock. DeChambeau's deal with LIV Golf expires at the end of the 2026 season, confirmed by Sky Sports and Sportico. According to the Daily Telegraph, he had been seeking a new deal in the range of $500 million to re-sign. Whether LIV, in its current financial state, can meet that number is the central uncertainty. For context, His original deal was reported at over $100 million guaranteed for 4.5 years. The ask for renewal, if the Telegraph's figure is accurate, represents roughly a 4 times increase in total value. The numbers describe a negotiation that was already difficult before the PIF funding questions emerged. The PIF clock. The Public Investment Fund announced a new 2026 to 2030 strategy on April 16, 2026, with explicit emphasis on domestic investment. PIF Governor Yasir Al-Rumayyan described it as a natural next step in PIF's growth journey. LIV Golf's cumulative international losses exceed $1.1 billion. A fresh capital injection was reportedly approved for the 2026 season. But the total PIF commitment to LIV now exceeds $5 billion, confirmed in public filings. Beyond this season, the commitment is unconfirmed in writing. The PGA Tour clock. Earlier in 2026, the Tour created a pathway, structured around a returning member program, for select players who had won a major or the Players' Championship since 2022 to return. 3 players reportedly met those criteria alongside Koepka, DeChambeau, John Rahm, and Cameron Smith, as confirmed by Sky Sports and Golf Digest. The window for applications closed on February 2, 2026, per Golf Digest. DeChambeau did not apply. The program was described by the Tour as a one-time offer. That specific window is now closed. However, PGA Tour CEO Brian Rowlap has since signaled he is considering ways to bring back LIV players, suggesting the Tour's door is not permanently shut, even if the formal mechanism that existed in January no longer does. Any new pathway would likely be negotiated individually, on the Tour's terms. 3 clocks, 3 sets of institutional interests. DeChambeau sits at the intersection of all of them. Here is where the publicly confirmed record matters most, and where careful reading is necessary. DeChambeau has not said he is leaving LIV. What he has said in an interview with Flushing It Golf, published on April 23, 2026, reported by Sky Sports, Golf Monthly, and the South China Morning Post, is this: "We're still working on a potential contract. I haven't given up on that, and I think there will be a solution. But as of right now, my job is to help make the league work after this year. I just feel like I have a responsibility, and as long as LIV is here, I would figure out a way for it to make sense." He also told Flushing It Golf that LIV is being squeezed and punched, but that he intends to do everything in my power to make it work. Earlier in January 2026, he told Front Office Sports that creating YouTube content, playing the 4 majors, and not joining either tour was an incredibly viable option. That statement predated the PIF funding reports. It also describes a man who has already done the math on what his platform is worth, independently of any tour. There is also a data point that frames his leverage precisely. DeChambeau earns an estimated $20 million annually from sponsors including Reebok, Qualcomm, Google, and Kalshi. His YouTube channel has generated nearly 560 million views. His Crushers GC franchise is reportedly among the 2 LIV franchises being explored for minority stake sales in 2026. He does not need a tour to generate income. What he needs is a competitive structure worth his time and a financial offer that reflects his market value. Whether LIV or the PGA Tour can provide that is the open question. Here is the structural problem this situation presents. DeChambeau passed on the formal pathway the Tour offered in January 2026. The window Golf Digest confirmed closed on February 2nd. If he decides to leave LIV at the end of this season, the Tour would need to construct a new mechanism for him specifically. Rowlap has signaled openness, as Sky Sports reported. But openness is not a contract, and any new arrangement would be negotiated case by case, not guaranteed. DeChambeau also demonstrated at LIV Golf Mexico City in April 2026, something rarely seen from him. According to The Athletic, he was visibly frustrated after a poor round, declined to speak with media, and walked past fans seeking autographs, the last part uncharacteristic for a player who built his commercial brand on accessibility. He subsequently withdrew from the final round, citing a wrist injury. That is not necessarily significant on its own. Competitive frustration is not evidence of a decision. But it is another data point in a story, where the data is pointing in multiple directions at once. He is publicly committed to LIV surviving beyond 2026. He reportedly explored what happens if it does not. Both things are true, and the institutions on both sides of this divide are watching the same clock. So will Bryson DeChambeau leave LIV Golf? Here is the honest, sourced answer. His contract expires at the end of 2026. The PIF's public commitment to fund the league beyond this season is unconfirmed. The returning member program window that would have given him the clearest path back to the PGA Tour has closed, and he passed on it. What is verified is this: he has publicly stated his preference to make LIV work. He has publicly acknowledged the league is under pressure. He has reportedly explored alternatives during Masters Week. And he has built a commercial platform, sponsors, YouTube, and a franchise equity stake that gives him more leverage in this negotiation than almost any player in the history of the sport. The real story here is not that LIV is collapsing. It is that, for the first time, the uncertainty has reached the players. That shift, from stable to unsettled, is what makes December 2026 the most consequential deadline in professional golf right now. The answer is not yet settled. It depends on whether LIV Golf secures new funding beyond 2026. It depends on whether the PGA Tour builds a workable pathway for him. And it depends on whether a man who called this a business decision in 2022 makes the same calculation in December. If LIV survives with meaningful backing, this story continues. If it doesn't, professional golf's most commercially powerful player becomes a free agent, and the entire sport will be watching to see where he lands. Subscribe to Legacy Wedges for more content like this: the money, the structure, and the forces beneath the leaderboard that actually shape the game you love.